Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item of the agenda is the approval of the agenda. But I think we've got this item that we're gonna add. Item number 15 about the Hollywood Daycare. So I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Allison.
Second.
Second from Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Yeah, we have Kayla present on.
It is on Google. Would you like her up there with you or over here with me?
Probably
Right here?
that's fine.
Okay.
As long as she can hear. Just let us know if you need anybody to talk louder, Kayla, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the board clerk and treasurer. So some of the items on the agenda are just kind of some of the stuff that we do for the beginning of the calendar year, so. Thank you.
That's okay.
I move to approve Diane Nye as board clerk and Stephanie Peterman as board treasurer.
So motion from Allison and a second from Chad. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. And next item is approval of the minutes from the 6/26/24 meeting. Any questions, comments, additions, changes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion from Allison
Second.
and a second from Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Approval of the treasurer's report. It's online on your packet.
Move to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Motion from Allison
Second.
and a second from Josh. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. And then approval of the invoices. Mr. Murphy, is there anything that you would like to draw our attention to or anything on the invoices?
No, everything on the invoice, we tried to make it as like last year as possible if needed. So most of everything that's on there is renewals and items like that we've been doing in the past, so.
And just as a reminder, the account numbers, if you remember when it has an X in the account number, like for example, that Apple 8, the X means that it's going to come out of last year's budget because that was an encumbrance as of June 30th. So when we pay that, it throws it into an X account so we can keep track of the encumbrances and how we pay it. So as you go through the account numbers here on the left, you can see some have an X and some don't, and that's the difference. Those show up mostly July, August, September meetings. By October, we pretty well got those cleared out.
Thank you for that, Diane. Any questions?
Move to approve the invoices as presented.
A motion by Allison
Second.
and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Reconciliation and cash balances report is there in your packet.
I went ahead and added the final transfer sheet. We had a proposed sheet in June. This is the final. And the only big difference between the two is Fund 15, the virtual education fund, because a bill came in for June and we had to encumber that. So that's why the balance on the other one was a little bit higher. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, that $933,185, that's almost exactly on the other one. So, but this is the final one for last year.
Thank you. And sometimes I kind of forget, I don't double check what all is available for public viewing and what is, so this is public now,
Yes,
isn't it? Yeah.
all the financials are public,
That's
all of them.
So,
CAT treasurer's report, all of the bank balances of the different schools, and my cash summary, all of that's public record. So, yeah, so that's out there.
okay. So the next item is organizational appointments.
So we tried to keep this as much like last year as we could with our appointments with a few changes on there. These last year were grouped together, so we grouped them together as well this year. So we have our official depository for district funds still, our open accounts. We have First Kansas Bank in Claflin, our online activities. First Kansas Bank in Claflin, our payroll account is the Bank of Holyrood, idle funds for Federal Bank in Britain, and then Wilson State Bank in Wilson. And we have our First Kansas Bank in Claflin to use, and then the Bank of Holyrood as well. So those are where our funds are deposited at. I will be, with approval, the food service hearing, and then also number 3, the Title 9, 6, and 7 that deals with sexual harassment, racial discrimination. And then our 504 coordinator, we have recommended Jane Osier. Our truant officer for our schools, Bobby Murphy for Wilson Elementary School, Jane Osier for Central Plains Elementary, Jessica Murphy for Central Plains Junior Senior High. The one question that might arise there is a little bit of why I am the one for Wilson. And the answer to that is just until we get things finished up with our principals and our finishing their certifications and that sort of thing, I'll be that person. So, District Capers representative would be Diane Nye. Our asbestos hazard emergency response would be me as well. Freedom of Information Officer would be Bobby Murphy. Designated newspaper for legal publication, we have the Ellsworth Independent, that is our county one, and then also the Great Bend Tribune. On number 10, we have the Attorney at Law for District Matters, and you'll see that attachment is on our board meeting, and this is new. The law offices of Watkins Calcara, CHTD, is out at Great Bend. That would be an as needed. That would not be every single day, every single meeting sort of thing. It would be as needed for legal matters. And then also the approval of the 1,116 hours for the school year. Those are the hours we must be in session. And then also approve our board clerk to sign for purchase orders as well. Hearing officer for student matters, Bob Murphy, and our homeless liaison would be Bob Murphy. Do you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns with 1 through 14?
There's no other Ellsworth paper that would be,
I don't think so.
Her comment, Kayla, was if there was any other Ellsworth paper.
There was, I mean, just as far as, there was some not factual reporting or incorrect reporting even last year during sports season and stuff, and they didn't cover central plains very well. So, I mean, I understand needing to have a paper in Ellsworth County for legal printing and stuff, but otherwise I would probably just use them as little as possible. And that would work. My opinion. Other than that,
With them both listed, it can be either or.
correct.
We have both because the Great Bend Tribune is published 3 times a week, where the Ellsworth's only once, so for Stratford time, we can fall on the Tribune, but Ellsworth is our home county, so we should still keep that on there.
Yeah.
It's my
I move to approve appointments 1 through 14 as presented for the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion by Allison,
I'll second.
second by Josh. Any other questions, comments? Does anybody have any questions about the attorney or any of that? Because we're gonna use KASB for primary stuff, but then we'll be there to help fill out papers and stuff as needed.
They were recommended because they do have a lawyer on staff that's familiar with school law. So that's, I don't know if John recommended them or who did, but yeah, that's why we put them, and they sent us that letter that you guys can see.
Very good. Okay, motion and a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, policies and resolutions.
So these policies and resolutions are going to look very familiar with last year, and that goes with our boardless paperwork has all the information listed out on each one if you can click through, but that goes over our inoculation policy that we have to have in line with the state, our family rights and privacy notice as well, our non-discrimination policy resolution for our destruction of records, resolution for our principles of accounting for gate receipts and receipts for activities, resolution for public record, resolution for adopting our new board policy, home rule resolution as well, establishing that USD 112 school board will transact businesses approve policy and perform its constitutional duty to maintain, develop, and operate local public schools. I is authorize advance payment of utilities claims and specific vouchers, and then J is approve generally accepted accounting practices, the waiver for GAAP, allowing the use of generally accepted accounting procedures. So all those are, hopefully you're familiar with those a little bit, and if not, you can click on those and look at each one individually. Questions, concerns with those, A through J?
I move to approve the policies and resolutions, items A through J as presented for the 2024-2025 school year.
So motion by Allison and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Next item is organizational and procedural.
Okay, these will be action items that need to be voted on separately. So our first one, A, is our board members to our Governmental Relations Network, the GRN. As of right now, the appointment of the board member for the GRN for last year and this year currently is Allison. Allison, do you want to share a little bit about what that entails?
I have done absolutely nothing.
Right.
Probably just a page to inbox.
Probably, yeah.
You want to do it again, Allison?
Sure.
So I would move to approve Allison as the Government Relations Network representative for USD 112.
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion by me and a second by Josh. Any questions, comments? Do you want us to do this or do you want us to wait? And do you want us to go ahead and make the motion as
Yeah,
we
no,
go through
yeah,
each other?
after
Okay.
each one, please.
Okay.
Then I
Okay.
got it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, on B is our board member representative for our professional development committee. Currently, Tamara Doty is the appointed member for our professional development committee. Tamara, do you want to talk a little bit about that at
Yeah,
all?
we haven't really had much on professional development. Maybe.
So we've been working on our professional development books a little bit, so that's going to provide us with a little more work we have to do going into this year, especially with our committees when we start off the school year. So, yeah, we'll definitely need an appointment for that and some guidance along the way.
Anybody want to volunteer?
You got it. Kayla said she could if nobody else would want to.
That's fine. That's fine. I would move to approve Kayla Collins as the
Professional development.
committee representative. I'm like, wait a minute, how is that worded? As a professional development committee representative for USD 112. Motion.
I'll
Second.
second.
Second by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Caleb.
Okay, C is setting our petty cash funds. So the limits as follows is what we're looking to approve. $1,000 at Central Plains Junior Senior High School, $500 at Wilson Elementary School, $1,000 at the USD 112 Board Office, and $500 at Central Plains Elementary School, Hollywood. So those would be our recommended petty cash funds.
That's that, what it's been.
That is exactly what it's going to be, sir.
I would move to approve the petty cash funds with limits set as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Our next item is the approval of the 24-25 mileage reimbursement of 50 cents per mile for employee and 50 cents per mile for parents that transport students to school on the north end of the district in a maximum of 2 round trips. This is exactly what it was set out last year as well.
We raised it last year. It was 37.
It was 37 before.
Now we went to
Okay.
50, so it's just 50 across the board, which actually is easier for the accounts payable clerk.
Yeah.
I move to approve the 2024-2025 mileage reimbursement at 50 cents per mile for employees and 50 cents per mile for parents to transport students to school on the north end of the district at a maximum of 2 round trips.
I'll second.
Motion by Allison and second by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
The next item is just a review of the flow chart. Last year was the flow chart that was on the district software that we use for our board meeting. Just delegates the line of responsibility from board members to superintendent, and then superintendent down to clerk of boards, and then also to elementary principals and secondary principals, and you can see the delegated lines of responsibilities there and after. This is not any recommended motion, it's just a review item that's on this procedure part. Any questions or comments on review flow chart? Okay, and then F, recommended motion is to allow dispersion of district property that is valued at $500 or less, and that is also a motion that we had in place last year.
I move to allow dispersion of district property that's valued at $500 or less.
Motion by Allison and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. And our visitor is Sherry Brantley.
I just wanted to come by. I was judging 4-H projects in Rice County today, and I'm running for the 112th District House of Representative, which Tori Blue has right now, and so I have filed for her seat back in November, and recently stepped away from my position through a TASM. I don't know if you're familiar with TASM from KSDE, and I was on the Kansas MTSS and Alignment Math team, and was the lead for the Kansas Math project. But I recently stepped away, so I'm really, really proud of you guys when I hear about your flow chart. Like, that's what I did. Good job. I'm impressed. Anyway, I just want to come by and introduce myself to you. I'm here if you have any questions. I will leave some cards back here if you want to ever contact me, or if I can help in any way. But I'm here as an educator that is ready to step up and serve our area as a state. That was all. Just want to introduce myself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 10, the revenue neutral tax rate review.
Okay, so this is going to mirror our process that we had last year as well. The revenue neutral rate provided by the county is going to be lower right now than our proposed budget for 24-25. The general fund and the possible local option budget as well. The general fund's not calculated in that revenue neutral rate. The LOB will be very close to the revenue neutral rate because of the state aid. The revenue neutral rate hearing, if we have consensus today, will be scheduled for September 9th board meeting before the budget meeting. At that time, though, the board does not have to approve that resolution at that September 9th meeting. So our hope is that when we bring the budget to you guys next month, that we won't be exceeding that. We want to just make sure we have our ducks in a row if we have to get to that point. So we have the numbers on there for the Ellsworth County proposed rates, and you can see that compared to our 23-24 budget from last year. We're going to be very close to that again, but our hopes is to be able to still be under that. So. We have to have the information to our county clerk before July 20th as to whether we're going to exceed that, or it's our intent to exceed that, so they can get the proper paperwork. So,
And again, this kind of goes back to how it was, Bill always said, it's like, you gotta have the ability to do it, even if,
Just in case,
yeah,
even if you won't exercise it.
yeah.
Well, it just helps your margin of error. I mean,
Uh-huh.
if the county clerk has any kind of little error or anything, we want to make sure we have a cushion, so you can always come down, you just can't go back.
Yeah.
we want that number high, we want it lower, can't go the other way.
So that's basically just by consensus, so that's how I'll record it in the minutes. That's okay with you guys? Okay.
Okay, and then item number 11, resolution correction for the district number 2.
Okay, so this was brought to our attention just recently, that when the board member districts were drawn, we had a little bit of a conflict. District 2 and District 4 were both mentioned to incorporate the Noble Township in Ellsworth County. Whenever we had John look at that again, the resolution that's proposed is going to remove any reference to that Noble Township in Ellsworth County being located in District 2, placing it where it should be located in District 4. So right now it's saying it's in both of them. There's wording that leads to that township being in both of them. So that document is in there if you guys would like to read that.
I remember you asking about that, even specifically.
So we got over John, and then he wrote that resolution to eliminate that wording for District 2. So that's there for you to sign too. But that takes a board motion since we're amending that resolution.
I move to approve resolution 240715, amending resolution number 231211, reapportioning and adopting new board member district number 2 for Unified School District number 112, Ellsworth County, State of Kansas.
I'm sorry. When I was typing that up, I was like, when they read this, they're going to think I'm crazy.
What? The motion by Allison and a second by Chad. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. And just a reminder, that board position is still open. If anybody wants it. Okay, item 12, Wilson After School Program.
This is just an informational topic. Over the past few years, we've been funding the Wilson After School Program, mostly with ESSER funds. The program is expiring here pretty quick. We currently have anywhere from 25 to 30 students that take advantage of the Wilson After School Program daily. And Ms. Moore and myself are currently in process developing a plan to fund the after school program at Wilson. Just would like to bring that plan to you guys at the August meeting. We do have a site council at Wilson scheduled for Monday, July 22nd. We'd like to inform them of where we're at and the direction we're hoping to go. Our hope is to still be able to offer that after-school program at no cost for our kids. We just got to really sit down and look at where that's going to come from and the direction we're going to go. We do have a couple options for that. I think that we're going to be in a good spot come August for that, but I just wanted that to be an informational item on your guys' minds moving ahead to August. So.
What are some of the, I mean, just to kind of put it out there and to elaborate a little further, do you want to expand on some of the options, or do you want to wait till after that?
Well, one of the options that we're hopeful is we've been talking with the at-risk coordinator at the state, and there's an option for us to be able to funnel some of those at-risk funds through the after-school program. If there's a designated after-school homework time that's incorporated with that, that's our hope. We have to get a little more feedback from them on making sure if that can take both hours, or if that would maybe just be the first hour of that after-school program. So.
So is your estimated, like at the bottom, you have the expenditures from this last year. So when you're budgeting for the next year, are you accounting for possible changes?
We are.
Okay.
Whenever we visited with Ms. Moore a little bit, they thought that there could be a chance instead of them having 3 employees, maybe they could get by with 2 with the number of kids. So we discussed that a little bit. We've also discussed the price changes. You know, right now we pay after school pay $12 an hour, and we with the ESSER funds we kind of up that for those teachers and those staff members that are helping with the after school program. So that's a conversation, making those a little more equitable across the line too. So all those items we've been discussing are kind of on the table right now for that budget for that next year for that after school program. So I know a lot of our families up in the Wilson community, they really need that for their kids to have a structured place to go after school. So we don't want to lose that for them.
So we still seeing the numbers staying about where they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of anywhere between that 25 to 30 mark. The average is right around 27, but I think their lowest number was in the low 20s, but they've been up almost to that 30 number too. Something.
Right.
So. Other questions, guys?
Item number 13, cell phone stipend.
The recommendation from our administrators talking with them is they would rather not carry 2 phones with them and have their own cell phone rather than the district pay for them a separate policy with a separate phone. The proposal would be $15 a month stipend to use their phone and not have to carry 2 phones around. And then we would kind of phase that out as we went through with the directors and the administrators that have phones that are currently on the district plan with a district cell phone to go to the point where they just have 1 phone, so we have 1 phone, we pay them a stipend for that. So.
Yeah, just for a little more background, this was something that kind of came about as hiring new administrators that we haven't done for a while and looking in for old contracts and stuff. Yeah, it was back when they used to get new phones for everybody, and now, yeah, it's a little bit different, so just kind of changing that around, so we actually needed to change the wording of that.
I move to approve a $15 a month cell phone stipend for the administrators effective July 1st, 2024.
Motion by Josh,
Second?
second by Allison. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Item number 14, handbooks.
At the last board meeting, we presented the first reads for the handbooks. We do have a couple of additions for the high school handbook. KSDE has released the 2028 and beyond graduation requirements. The attachment was in the document that you guys were presented in the online board meeting packet. And Principal Murphy's here. She would like to talk with you a little bit about the graduation requirements and then also some additions from the middle school or high school handbook as well. So
I will do that as long as he stops calling me Principal Murphy. I used to be Counselor Murphy because there were 2 Murphys and I needed a gavel or something. So in the document that I shared with you, and I hope you were able to open it. I apologize. I shared it as a Google Doc. So if you weren't able to open it, I apologize. If you need access, I can give that access to you really quick. But in that document, I went ahead and put in the current statement in there, and then I highlighted what I'd like to update, and then the proposed changes down highlighted in green. So the first one that I will visit about is the Barton County Community College online classes. Currently, the only students who are able to enroll in online classes are seniors, and I'd like to propose that juniors would also be able to have that availability. And just a little bit of background on that for you. I worked at the community college level for 3 or 4 years as an admissions rep, and I've seen I've been an advisor at the college level. The students are able to take those classes for just $50 a credit hour. And just to give you a little perspective, the university average for the state of Kansas is $350 per credit hour. So we're talking about, a reduction in $300 per credit hour, allowing those students to do that. In addition to that, so the the graduation requirements that will change for the freshman class, one of the things that they're adding is post-secondary assets. One of the things on that post-secondary asset list is not up to 9 credit hours. So if we only allow seniors to have the availability to take those hours, that means they have to either take them in the summer when they're super busy, or they have to take 9 hours during their senior year of high school. So I would just propose, I would like to have a contract for those juniors. They have to have a certain GPA. They would be able to take the class during the school day. And if they were unable to fulfill the requirements in that contract, they could still stay in the class, but they might not be able to have school time to do it if they can't behave, or, that's an issue. They can do it on their own time, but they would have to be in class at school. So that's my first proposal, is just allowing the juniors and seniors to be able to take college classes. Everything else would stay the same on that list. So the next item that I have in there is the graduation and promotion requirements. This isn't really something we have much say in. The state of Kansas did propose some changes for the incoming freshman class. So we don't have some of these pieces in place right now as the schedule sits for the upcoming school year. So once we have this in here, then we'll work on getting some of those things that will need to happen by the time the freshmen graduate. So we have a little bit of time on that one. So some of the things that are, all of the things that are changing, if you look at the letter or number A on the 4 units of language arts, they're adding half credit of that has to be a communication credit. So the way that Mr. Holmes explained how it used to be set up here was maybe sophomore English was a semester, and then communications was the other semester of sophomore English. So it's not really a huge change. It's kind of the teacher gets to teach it kind of mixed in, so it's not just a speech credit. The complication with that, and something we'll just kind of have to think about how that should look, is if we do that and we have a kid that maybe didn't take their speech at their other school until their junior year, but they came to us as a junior, they wouldn't have that speech credit. And I don't want them to have to repeat sophomore English just to get the speech credit. So we just might have to be a little creative on how we offer that. We could still offer it for college credit, where they could get that speech credit. They could take it on Ingenuity. There's some other options, but we can kind of think about how we want that to look. So that would be one of the changes. An additional change would be adding a financial literacy class that would be a half a credit. We had implemented this before at our previous school, and we put it in the junior senior level because I feel like if you do it too young, they won't remember. The financial literacy is trying to teach them about insurance and about their banking and all of that stuff. So we don't want to do it too young where they won't use it when they go out in the real world. So, so the number 8 on there has been a little controversial in the state. Not the idea of it, but just understanding what that means. It's stated as an advanced science, technology, engineering, or an advanced math class. But they're also saying that any of our advanced CTE credits would count for that. So not welding 1, but welding 2. So if they take the beginning and then they take the advanced, then those advanced level CTE classes would also fulfill that requirement. The way it's stated, it sounds, not this, but on the other one from the state, it sounds like you have to take a computer science class. So then all these schools are trying to get their computer science teachers certified, and that was not the intent. So that is a little more clear there. And then for the state of Kansas, you have to have 21 credits to graduate. I believe ours was 24. Sorry, I looked at it the other day, and now I Yeah, 24, so we require 24 to graduate from Central Plains. So then 7.5 units would be elective units. And then I just added in that post-secondary asset list, and then there's, I think this is probably going to change, but they're trying to have everybody to complete the FAFSA before they graduate, which isn't a bad idea, but I know there's some parents who are like, we're not going to qualify. There is a waiver available for parents who choose not to fill it out. So it's not like a student can't graduate if they don't fill out the FAFSA. So anyway, those are the changes. What I'll do in the handbook is leave the current graduation requirements, and I'll just add in the ones for 2028 graduates, and then as those phase out, we'll just pop the old ones off and leave the new ones, if that's okay with you guys. So
I personally really like the idea of opening up the college credits to juniors. And when Mr. Murphy had kind of mentioned that, I said that I really liked it because Paxton, my oldest son, as a senior, had the hard choice to make between public speaking or choir and band, because the only time you can take public speaking college credit is first hour, but that's the only time band and choir is offered too, so he's not taking public speaking, which kind of sucks. But so I don't know, we'll see if I can talk him into it for summer or something, but yeah, so it'd be nice to be able to take some of those.
So I did visit with the lady from Barton County who is the director of the, I think they call it early opportunities. And there are a lot of opportunities for our students. Not only the college credit, but there's also a lot of CTE things that we can be taking advantage of. As close as we are, I think that it would be beneficial for our students to be able to take advantage of some of that. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Excel and CTE, but the state of Kansas offers all of those that are considered career and technical education completely free to high school students. So it doesn't matter if you wouldn't qualify on FAFSA or whatnot, there's no eligibility. It is, if you were enrolled, it's free for all of those programs. And then once they graduate, then they have the Kansas Promise Act that would kind of kick in. So we had a kiddo that actually started his junior year, got his, it wasn't HVAC, I can't think of off the top of my head. He got one degree in high school, finished that one, and he's now at electrician school at NCK Tech. He's going to have 2 degrees that you have to pay for. So there's just a lot of opportunity out there. We can definitely take advantage of that if you guys are open to that. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the handbook?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did have that one last one. It was just adding the NCAA requirements for any student who is thinking about going to play sports at the collegiate level. There is a separate curriculum that students are supposed to complete, and we had a student that ran into it before, so I just wanted to make sure that that was in our handbook so that parents were aware that there is additional curriculum that those students are supposed to. So this is just off the KSCB website. It's just an addition.
That's good to have in there. Good to be aware of. Thank you.
I move to approve the handbook changes as presented, including the addition of the 2028 and beyond graduation requirements for the Central Plains High School handbook.
Second.
So motion by Josh and a second by Allison. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you for all that, Jess. And item number 15, Hollywood Daycare.
Okay, we've been spending a lot of the last couple weeks, budget and after-school program, and then also Daycare Needs. We've completed the paperwork for the Patterson Childcare Grant. Our contact for this grant's very optimistic, but nothing will be hammered out for sure until the end of August with funding in September. Kind of puts us in a little bit of awkward position with where we want to go with the start of the school year, so I want you guys to be aware of that. If we are fortunate enough to receive this grant, the grant is for $175,000 maximum. We budgeted for half of that to be awarded to Holyrood Daycare, and the other half to the Wilson Daycare to help add additional group home slots to each one of those facilities. Our hope is that we could file for the same grant for next year for Claflin's Daycare as well. So that's our hope. We've been in contact with the operator for the Plum Creek Apartment Complex in Holyrood. With approval of this recommendation and this motion, we'll be able to have our representatives write a letter of intent to move forward. We do have one daycare provider that's already certified and licensed, and the other in the process of her orientation classes. Once the orientation takes place, we'll file our applications. This will allow the inspections to proceed. Our contact at Barton County Child Care says there's still a chance, depending on the time for background checks, applications, etc., that we could be still accepting some kids in that by August. And that's our hope moving forward. There will be some fees that the district will incur to start these daycares, and then I attached the expenses to the document on our paperless board meeting. There's a chance that we'll be able to talk to some of the Holyrood community to see if there's any willing to donate certain items to that as well. Some of the items that are on that list are the 2 rooms that we would need at the Plum Creek Apartments. Also, the electricity would be something price we would incur as well. Our insurance policies would grow a little bit for both of those daycares. We have some licensing fees built in there. There is a fenced-in playset, and this is something that, since there's 2 different daycare group homes, they have to have 2 separate areas for outdoors. Okay, so you can have a 30 by 30 section with a fence in between them, breaking it apart into a 15 by 30, 15 by 30. Our hopes is if we can get this grant, we would be able to get some really nice play equipment and things like that in all of our district daycares to, allow our kids to work on some of those fine motor skills and things like that in those areas. We don't have to have that to start off, but we do have to have a fenced-in area for that. So that would be a price that we would look to incur as well. Furnishings for the daycare, if you look on the site, the KDHE site, they have all the furnishings and an approximate price that it could run. Some of those furnishings, if you go by their list, add up to about $20,000 a room. I think with some donations and some help in the community, we might not have to incur a lot of that cost because I think we could get tables and cribs and things like that and changing tables from people around that could help with that. The food is another item that we do have to get kind of nailed down with that, how we're going to cook, bring in food, things like that. We're talking with our principal over at Holyrood to talk about if maybe we can transport food back and forth. But all those are costs that the district would incur in hopes that we get the grant and it would filter back through. That's what our hope, but business-wise, that's not a good thought to have just because you don't know if you have that in the bank yet. So that's kind of where we're at with the Holyrood daycare, and I just need some insight from you guys whether you want us to continue that process with the understanding that if we don't get the grant, that the district would incur some of these costs until we got some revenue coming in for kids. And then also to continue to be able to talk to some of those community members here in the future if they're willing to help with any donations moving forward. So,
with the grant, is that going to be an issue if you've already spent the money?
No,
Okay.
we would be able to use that because it's the same year. to be able to basically.
Some grants
recoup.
specifically say we won't pay for things you already, so it's, okay.
Thoughts, concerns?
Have we talked to anybody about a fence?
Have not. I wanted some guidance from you guys before I got any quotes or anything on any of that moving forward. The estimate that I give, we did have a quote for a fenced-in area here at the high school. A pretty long fence over by the football field, so kind of used that a little bit with what they're costing to kind of get a rough estimate of what a fence over there would probably most likely run. But with some guidance for you guys, I would want to get, some quotes and get moving that direction because, August is running up pretty quick and we need some of those facilities for our kiddos and our families. So that's the direction we want to go.
What numbers are we looking at for the daycare?
So whenever I talked to the lady in Barton County today, one of the concerns I had was with the square footage over there, if they were going to minimize the amount of kids that we could have. When she did the calculations, she thought that their calculations with the square footage for their side of it would be up to the maximum 10, 12 kids if we had a helper in the room. I can't give you an estimate on that for sure, and the reason is we have to have the fire marshal come in once we get our application, and he could say you're only allowed this many due to fire marshal regulations. Our hope would be at least 10 per room that would give us 20 slots. So 20 slots, not kids, would be our hope for that facility.
Does the fire marshals count slots for kids?
I think they're going to count kids because they're going to count the amount of people that can be in that facility at a time.
Do we have estimated numbers on how many people need daycare over there? Or how many?
I know one lady that has a daycare over there now seems to be pretty full.
Yep.
And I think there's a waiting list. It's a pretty good sized waiting list for her facility.
And we have some teachers that, when they go back to work, have no daycare for their kids. Or are transporting their kids to Great Bend for daycare. And elsewhere, yeah. So.
I just didn't know if we had any firm names or anything of
Yes.
people that were interested or
Yes.
numbers on that.
Teachers get priority.
Most of the time, yeah. Sometimes it's hard because if you already have those slots filled with kids and then a teacher has the need for it, it makes it hard because you can't just kick somebody out of a slot for that slot. So that makes it tough on that side of it. But we try to make sure our faculty and staff has priority. But we want to be able to offer, some of those slots to the community as well. So that's what our hope in creating those slots. In the past 2 weeks since I've started, we spent a lot of time on this, a lot of time on just the budget side of it.
Estimated monthly expense that it's going to run us going forward, not just the startup.
It would really, I'm going to try to bring you back up here so I can see you, okay? Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
There you are. Okay. Can you see me still? Okay, good. All right, good. A lot of that's just going to depend on the number of kids that we have. If we're full, and then a lot of that depends on infants because infants take up, I believe it's 1.5 slots compared to, just a toddler. So it varies greatly. We feel pretty confident, though, if we were able to fill those slots up, that it would be a little more of a, revenue source for that daycare rather than district relied on. Would be our hope.
The electricity cost, is that average?
That's average, yeah,
Okay.
for what one of those run right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right, if the need there, I think we need to take this to at least split. With it, not to kids. Do it.
Is there any fencing, any local, other than like Little Giant, I know? Are there any other like fencing people or? I don't.
DIY.
They were, sorry, Kim, they're talking about what other fencing companies might be available to get quotes
She
from.
looked at me and she said,
Corners Family
or
Farms
looked
do
through
that?
you.
Sad-eyed.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, Eldridge has done some stuff around this corner.
But I mean, one just a volunteer.
I agree, I think we need to keep moving
Yeah,
forward with
definitely.
this. But I would also start talking with community members sooner than later.
So my next step is if this recommendation of the motion passes, a few things. One, we need to get some quotes on fencing, and then also get our letter of intent to Plum Creek Apartment that we plan on moving forward with those two, and then also to get a list of some names from the Hollywood community, have just a little sit-down meeting with them to see if there are any donations or anything that could happen with the furnishing side of it to move forward with it, under the hopes again that we could open those facilities up in August. You know, we're going to really be against the fire marshal schedule and the other inspectors that have to come out with it as well. So we're just really pressed up against it right now. We really like to have that in August for our community if we can, but there's no guarantee that we're going to be at that August point either.
Right, we might be ahead at some point to just have an open community meeting, okay, anybody who's interested, come hear it firsthand, and then have a list of ways people can help. Because some of them may be financial help, some of them may be, hey, I have these furnishings, some of them may be, hey, I can help with a fence, kind of a thing. So,
But I also don't think it needs to just be Hollywood, because I know there was someone who commented too, like, because we were talking about, you know, and I think this also might need to be said, like, that the Claflin daycare has kind of been put on the back burner, and it's more so related to need and like that Burton County group that has focused on the Great Bend daycare and the Hoisington daycare, and then also some state funding has kind of slowed down, and so
it's also a larger scale project they were looking
Yeah.
at versus what
Yes.
this would be.
well, and that's
Yeah.
partially too where the state funding has slowed, and so the hopes for maybe some grant money and some stuff there isn't quite what they had hoped for, and so they're needing to finish up their Hoisington project, the Great Bend project, and get that up and going before they can expand on another project. And, you know, we need to focus on where the need is the greatest. So that's why our focus now has shifted to being able to get this up and going, the daycare up and going in Hollywood. Plus, there's already facilities at Plum Creek where we're not having to build something from the ground up. So that, you know, kind of set us back even further. So that's a little bit where the thought process is, just letting the public know too. And I know it's been said that by other people in the community, yeah, you know, we want to focus on everywhere, and we see this all as a community and where the need is. So not just platform. Again, so we're all a community. So as far as donations help, that should be not just asked, you know.
District-wide.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as motion, I think we have reviewed open to a motion to proceed with the daycare home.
So one of the workers that we're looking at is the worker that has the daycare facility over there already.
So Diane, since this involves Plum Creek, I will abstain.
Okay,
So I'll make the motion to move to continue the process to open two district operating group daycare homes in Holyrood, dependent on license.
I'll second.
So a motion by Chad and a second by Josh. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0 to 1 abstain.
Mr. President, I move that the board go into executive session pursuant to the Kansas Open Meeting Act to discuss non-elected personnel for the topic of classified staff and supplementals to protect the privacy of individuals to discuss with Mr. Murphy present and return to open session in this room at 7:10.
Okay, motion from Josh,
Second.
second from Chad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, Ms. Kayla, I'm gonna move
back to an open session.
I move to approve Brittany Corp as the library aide at Central Plains Junior Senior High for the 2024-2025 school year.
I'll second.
So a motion by Allison and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Administrative reports.
Right, so, I put in my little agenda, if there are other things that you guys would like me to report on monthly, please don't hesitate to say, hey, we'd like to know where we're at on this every month. I just kind of put some things on there that I thought you might want to know about, but if there's something else, please give me feedback on that. Okay, so I've been up here a couple of times when weights have gone on, and I've been hit up every single time by some high schoolers that, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? So I have a couple of things that I've kind of weeded through to just kind of report on for you. The first one is I have the seniors would like to paint parking spaces. They have a whole proposal. They actually, I came up here and met with the kids, I don't know, probably March or February once, and then right after that they emailed me and said, hey, can we meet? We have an idea for you. So this isn't just thrown at me. They have really been kind of thinking about it for a while. So I kind of just included the notes that we talked about in our sessions that we've met about, and then we met with Mr. Murphy last week, I believe, with a couple of the kids that are interested in doing this. So what they would like to do is sell parking spaces for between $25 and $30, and then they would allow the kids to paint the slot. So it would be their spot for the year, and then they would have the option to embellish it if they would like. The student artwork would have to be pre-approved. We would give them a couple of days to paint those spaces so that we could mark off the parking lot, and that it was a safe place. The seniors said that they would provide certain colors, and then if there were additional colors, the students would come up with the other colors. They would like to use outdoor latex paint because I asked them to research what kind of paint they should use, and that's what they said worked on asphalt best. So that's what they would like to use. The concern is always, well, what are you going to do at the end of the year? So one of the things on their checkout would be if they've purchased a spot, they would have to paint over it with black before they would be allowed to check out for that school year. Has this come up before?
No.
No, okay. We weren't sure if it had come up, in the past of people wanting to paint.
No, my son.
Your son, yeah.
So my son.
Yes, he was on Zoom with me. They would also like to extend it, just since I think they said there's like 30 kids in the senior class, they'd like to extend it to the teachers and the juniors as well. We decided, since we wanted it to be a little more special for the seniors, the juniors would get like a little banner at the top of theirs that they could paint, just a little spot, just so that they'd have something to paint, but they couldn't paint the whole thing, and that way the seniors would have that availability. So I guess on that, I'm just kind of asking for your thoughts and, if you have any concerns about that.
We did talk to Tim a little bit about it, about what his thoughts were out there. He thought that painting over in black would just kind of make it match the asphalt that's there, and thought that it would be, something that we'd definitely give it a shot and see as well, so we could talk to the maintenance staff just a little bit about it.
He also said that if we, you also have that concern of over how many years is the buildup going to be so much that it's going to, he thought that if we power washed it, it would chip that off and it would be fine. So, the parking lot there's lots of, not holes, but cracks in it, so they can kind of have to.
What was that, Kayla?
It'll come off with the power washer, Wilson has helped with the
Okay, perfect.
Nice. So Kayla, do they power wash it off? Did they power wash it off at the end of every year?
Yeah, except for this last year that the Stevens were there.
Okay.
They did.
Okay.
But before that, they weren't.
Okay.
So we can kind of just gauge if we're okay with allowing them to do that. We can gauge whether we want to just car wash it off or have them paint black over it. So
I've seen other schools do it. I think it's kind of a neat thing to do.
yeah, I think it adds a little personality, and the kids know that if they purchase a spot, it's only good for the school day and the evening time. You know, if we have events or something up here, that doesn't work for their spot. They also had the idea, and they came up with this on their own. They're gonna they would like to create a couple of signs that they could post at the entrances that say painted spots are for or are taken or reserved or something. That way, anybody that would come in would know, and hopefully we can keep those younger kids out of their spots. So.
We just talked to them as well that we didn't want it to take time out of the school day. So if there was somebody was parked in their spot, they'll report it to the office, and then we'll try to fix it moving ahead. We're not going to disrupt the school day to go get somebody out of a parking spot.
I think it's a cool idea.
Okay, the next thing I have on my, just my building report is a buyout sponsorship idea. I kind of visited with the Booster Club the other night about this idea, and I'm stealing this idea. Bobby did this at Sublette. We had a little issue with our activities fund trying to get it back on the up and up, and this was a very, very successful program. Basically, we would ask anybody who would want to sponsor a game, they would have the opportunity to do that and buy it out so that it would be free admission for our community. As we looked at the gate, though, it was not, we were very surprised at what the gate was bringing in. So to make it equitable for the school, we'd have to raise the prices just a little bit. So if you were able to open the little sheet that I put in there, to buy out a volleyball game for an evening would be $1,000, and then a football game, our gates are bringing in about $2,000. So they, the buyout for that would be $2,000, and then a basketball game would be $1,500. Out of that money, some of that money would go to the Booster Club, so it'd be a help to kind of get them, started and going. And I believe we said that was at the black level, so it was $100 towards Booster Club. So then that community or that company would be able to get whatever the black level is for the Booster Club. They would get T-shirts for the people who came to the game. If they sent 4 people, they would get to sit in a little special section at the game. We would announce them at the halftime of that they had bought it out. There would be Facebook posts and signage and good advertising for the company. We would also even send it to the team that we were playing to let them post it so that their fans would know that it would be free admission. They would get a yearbook ad, and then they would get a signed ball. So it's a pretty good deal for the community, and we don't anticipate selling out every game, but we thought we'd kind of open it up and see if anybody would be interested in that. So it's just kind of an informational item for you guys. Something I'm kind of going to start. So. My next thing on there is KISA. I'll probably always have a KISA update for you. So right now, my KISA update, we will meet with the lady from the state. I believe that was in November that we'll meet with her again. But as far as building goes, I'm going to be really focusing on the IPS implementation. IPS stands for Individual Plan of Study. What I would like to do is create a Google site for the student where they create their own Google site, and then they have each year they have a plan, or there's something that they complete towards their graduation, with the idea that when they graduate, they have a digital portfolio that they can take and go get a job. They can go get a scholarship. They can take it to college and add to it if they want, or they can use what they've learned in creating that to create their own professional portfolio. That's kind of the direction that everybody's going, is those professional portfolios. So that's something that the state would like to see. IPSs are supposed to start at 6th grade. Not that they have to have a digital portfolio at that age, but they're supposed to be starting to be exposed to career exploration and just the world. So I would really like for 8th graders to develop a plan for their freshman and sophomore years of school, and then we'll relook at sophomore year, creating that plan for the rest of high school and then even starting to be beyond high school, with the idea that they would share this document they create at the spring conference, just so that it's not parent-teacher conference the same every time. They would have something that they would be sharing so that parents wouldn't be like, it's the same thing every time. So they would have, that piece that they could share. Within that piece, there would be a mock interviews that they would complete. They would do mock interviews freshman or sophomore years, and then Miss Weber does those in her senior English, so that way they have some exposure, and then, okay, this is what I want to change moving forward. So that would be a piece to it. So all of those things are on the IPS rubric that all schools are kind of like, oh wow, we are way on the low end of those things. To get to be modeling, everybody's got to do a little bit of work. Just kind of start implementing a few of those things as we go. So that's kind of my update for KESA. And then just athletics, just kind of letting you know where we're at cross country wise. I know that there's 2 kids that would like to do cross country at the high school level, and we are currently still looking for a coach. I did send an email out to the district today, hoping to find somebody who might be interested in doing that. Coach Stiles and I did talk about what that would look like if we couldn't find somebody, if he and I could maybe tag team that, or if we could maybe reach out and see if we could have another school that would be willing to, let them kind of join their group or whatever. But we'll see if we can get a coach rallied up before we go to those other measures. So that, just that piece of having a parent take them is just complicated because you have to take a test to be certified as a coach, and so we wouldn't have that piece if we would have a parent take them. So if he and I could get certified, or pass the test, then we could maybe tag team that. It's just all of those are on Thursdays, and that's when everything's on Thursday. So that just makes it really complicated to get, administrators and everything. So, and then the only other thing I had on there, as he and I visited the other day, we kind of talked about maybe putting together a uniform rotation. I found one in Mr. Holmes' office, but it ended in 2022. 2022-2023 was the last that had been updated for who was next for rotation. So I know that some of the sports have purchased things since then. So he and I are going to work on putting together a rotation for those uniforms so we kind of know where we're at, so that we're not all of a sudden needing to purchase all the uniforms in the same year. Because I know when the consolidation happened, all new uniforms came about, but we don't want to get to the point where we're having to redo all of those in 1 year. So that was kind of on my radar.
Yeah.
Girls basketball, they want last year.
Yeah,
Yes.
donated.
Yeah. Or then we just thought we would do football.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, and I don't think that rotation would really ever follow.
Yeah.
So.
So that's something that he and I will kind of put together. So, you guys have any questions for me? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go pretty quick on my superintendent's report. I do want to give you a daycare update for our other 2 facilities. Wilson, we're kind of at a stage where we're looking still to move that to 2 different group homes to allow some more slots for our Wilson community up north. That's kind of in process right now. We did visit about that with our daycare ladies and our administration up in Wilson this past week, and we feel like we kind of have a plan. It's just a lot dealing with all these different daycare entities and still trying to move forward right now. So we're really trying to do the best we can for all communities moving forward. I do want to give you an update on Claflin. I did talk to the lady from Advancing the Martin County Childcare. She did tell me that they were denied any funding pieces for the 24 to July 25. They were going to try again in July 25 for the year 25-26 for our daycare here. So that's kind of where we're at as of right now. We did not get the extra credits that Mr. Lowry kind of put in for the extra tax credits. We did not get those this round. but that's kind of where we're at with the Claflin Daycare. So, we're in the process of the HVAC system. Cruise company's back here. Weight room was the number one priority today, and they're trying to make sure they get everything ran to the gym so they can get everything put in September for the new AC unit and the gymnasium. Carpets updates, all looking good. Wilson office looks great over there. They're finishing up classrooms this week, and the Holyrood magnetic click vinyl's here, and it's going to be installed as soon as Wilson's done. It all looks great over there. And then we're moving forward here, hopefully the next 2 weeks with our middle school and high school here at Central Plains as well. So maintenance crews are working hard, getting all the waxing done, all the hard surface floors done as well, moving ahead. So I want to give you an update on open enrollment as well. We do have 2 students that applied, a 10th grader and an 8th grader, and all the school districts right now are waiting through this open enrollment piece because it's new for everybody. You know, it really wasn't pushed out very well of when the opening months were supposed to be for the open enrollment in June. So there's a lot of families scrambling right now. Just today we had another 4 open enrollment forms turned in for our district. So we're kind of waiting through that right now to kind of see where we're at number-wise moving forward as well. We're not the only district in that.
So what does happen if we have like a family that sends in open enrollment, but I know we had a couple classes that we said we didn't have openings in,
So
but they have other siblings in other classes that we did have openings.
So if we accept one of the siblings, we have to accept the other as well. We don't have a choice on that. We've also went back through our Power School database to see if there were any children on there that might not be back this year, that we know maybe their families have moved and maybe it's opened up some space as well, and talking to the parents of the people for the open enrollment piece as well. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an informative piece that I do need some feedback on. I received an email from the superintendent of Russell. They're looking into trying to update some of their facilities and maybe looking at either a bond or a county sales tax or maybe both at some point. It's their understanding that if the county pursues a sales tax, some of those funds would flow into our district somehow. So they've requested to have a meeting with 3 of our board members and also both superintendents, 3 of ours, 3 of theirs, so we don't reach that 4 number at some point to talk about what that's going to look like revenue-wise if they decide to go that direction. So just need a little feedback from you guys if you want me to pursue that, or if we have 3 people that would be interested in being on that, or which direction you'd like me to go.
Yeah, I think it, see what they're thinking, or.
Okay. Are there 3 board members that would like to be included with that? Kayla? Okay.
Have everybody speak up all at
I will.
once.
Okay.
Sure. Nothing else to do.
Once I visit with him and we get a couple of times and dates, I'll check with you guys before we confirm anything, okay? Perfect. Transportation update, just a reminder that we sold 3 vehicles this past spring. One was the wheelchair accessible and to a neighboring district, and 2 on Purple Wave. Currently, we have 1 wheelchair accessible that's in working order in case we do need to transport a student that is disabled. The transit van we purchased will be in the rotation for extracurricular activities. The usage for that, and it looks like mid to late fall before that one's going to be in. The new bus we ordered is still on its way, and they're now saying mid to late fall for that as well. So we're hoping we get that thing in this year. So we are in need, talking to Mr. Laurie and our transportation director, in need of a minivan in place of some of the transportation that we sold this past year. So the transportation department is looking at a 2022 used minivan for this need. We're gathering information on that, and we'll report back to you guys in August about that. So, and then enrollment's fast approaching. We had our secretaries and some of our administrators in today to get information sent out. So for our enrollment here in the next couple weeks, that's online. They've been working really hard on our in-service schedules and all that as well. One other item that I have is I am meeting with our asbestos guy for the Holyrood and Wilson gym tomorrow. make sure that's updated, so we're gonna get that inspection in. I have a lot of questions just to ask him on where we're at with everything else, but when I talked to Mr. Laurie, those two needed to be in the rotation here pretty quick to make sure that we're still meeting all those requirements, so. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? We have a lot of irons in the fire right now that we're trying to make sure that we don't leave anything out, so we're working hard on all those things.
Any open agenda items? Items for next month's agenda.
We have substitutes and then some negotiation, and then we're gonna be bringing budget information and any personnel that's gonna be included in this next year to you guys at this next at this next board meeting. We do have the meeting on the 24th scheduled with Gary Seacrest. Will that take place at the district office?
Yes.
At the district office. So,
6 o'clock.
so that'll be next week. So, yeah, we're hoping at that time when we meet in August on the 12th that we'll have pretty solid budget numbers to present to you guys on where we're at. So our hope. Diane and I are attending. We're going up to KSE scheduled on July 25th to meet with them for any budget information as well on the 25th. So.
We have a negotiations on there. I think that might have been materials of last year, because we've already approved the negotiations, you guys already did that. However, the teachers have not yet.
Right.
So she has to ask all the staff first, so I think that's probably why that's there. I'm pretty sure it would go, just in case something come up. But, yeah, so, I talked with Susan Barker, and she said she has to send an email out, everybody's got to come back, a or an A or whatever. So that's what that is.
And, we probably should to discuss if we're gonna go to KASB convention too, and be.
Did you guys get an email on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna just bring that up next month, or think about that and see.
Yeah. But we might wanna have that, on next month's.
Sure.
And I am gonna be on the legislative committee. So.
Okay.
So I won't have to.
You shouldn't have to pay. Is that what you're saying?
Pay.
Yeah, okay. Good enough.
I think that is it, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So much.
Motion by Allison, second by Josh, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, everybody.